Glad you're with us here on this chilly start to your Wednesday morning. If you're going to step outside, make sure you get that warm puffer coat if you got one.
Puffer coat, scarves, I mean, you name it. It's cold enough right now that, you're going to want to bundle up. Hello, everybody. I'm Netta Iranpour.
I'm Eric Connor, checking in with Evan Narani on our forecast here. At least it's dry. I mean,
yes,
chilly, but dry.
Exactly. We are now off to a pretty solid dry stretch. We only have one day in the next 8 days that we're watching out for the chance of showers, and that's tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Light showers possible for that mainly evening commute. Take a look, though, at where your temperatures are to kick off your Wednesday morning here. We are cold outside. A lot of 30s scattered across your inland valleys. Escondido right now at 35 degrees, 37 in Poway, 38 in El Cajon. Along our immediate coastline, we are mostly in the low to mid 40s out there. 47, though, in San Diego itself, 45 in Del Mar, and 42 chilly out there along the coast of Encinitas. Where do we see the afternoon highs going? Well, we should be warming up to the upper 50s and low 60s, just slightly warmer than yesterday. And yes, we are dry for today. We've got partly cloudy conditions, a few scattered showers come into the forecast for tomorrow. So we'll talk about what happens really beyond that, where we could head toward a pretty extended and I'd say welcome stretch of dry weather. We'll have details on how that looks in our future models coming up in just a bit.
The preliminary hearing for Larry Millete continues here today after the judge heard from Maya's father for the first time.
CBS 8's Dana Marie McNichol live at the courthouse downtown now. Yeah, pretty interesting to hear from her dad. Day 5 is beginning today. What's the latest, Dana Marie?
Good morning, Eric and Netta. That's right. There's a lot to break down inside the courtroom, and the prosecution did bring up a couple of key moments. So let's take a look at video from yesterday morning when we heard Maya's father testify. Now, when the family member didn't hear from Maya, they were concerned on the morning of January 9th, 2021. Maya's father, Pablito Tabalanza, went to the Millete home after Maya disappeared. He says Larry told him Maya was locked inside her bedroom, but when they opened the door, she wasn't there. The prosecutor asked, did Larry ever reassure you everything was okay? He testified, Larry said, I love Maya. I would never do that. The prosecutor asked him to clarify. Larry said he will not do what? Then Maya's father responded, I don't know what he meant. Pablito says Larry didn't even try to look for Maya. Instead, Larry went straight to Maya's desk and noted that her credit card was missing. Pablito added that he had a bizarre exchange with Larry in the room where Larry suddenly put his arm around him and made this comment. Take a listen.
Kasi mahal ko si Maya.
It was Larry. He said, I will never do that because I love Maya.
I will never do that. What did he mean by that?
Anong ibig niya sabihin na hindi ko magagawa yon?
Iyon nga hindi ko alam.
That I do
Anong
not know.
ibig niyang sabihin?
What he meant with that.
Now, coming up at 6:30, I'm going to break down another key moment between Maya's father and Larry. Day 5 of this case continues today. We will be your eyes and ears inside that courtroom, always bringing you the latest. I'm Dana Marie McNichol coming to you live for CBS 8.
Yeah, make sure you tune into our later newscast for all the updates from court. Thank you, Dana Marie. Right now, storm damage cleanup. It's ongoing across San Diego. We had some pretty big waves that took over the coast. Many surfers at Wind and Sea, the pros, the really strong ones, are out there in the water. And some of them said they saw the biggest swells they've seen in decades. A lot of people, though, standing on the sidelines and watching. Those waves did kind of change the coastline a bit with moving sand and rocks. And it actually made it tougher for surfers to get in and out of the water.
If you're not careful, you'll just run into a cliff when you're paddling out, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of the beach that we know and see is now taken over by water, so you'll have to swim past all of those rocks. It's tough. Lifeguards even said it takes 30 minutes at times to swim back, so they need to conserve that energy to be able to make it back safely. Meantime, the Ocean Beach Pier, the Children's Pool, Seawall in La Jolla, and the stone steps over on Moonlight Beach in Encinitas are all closed right now. Lifeguards say those stone steps in Encinitas have not been closed for repair in 13 years, but all those landmarks have seen some damage. These beaches aren't ruined forever, of course. The sand does move again. It should be back in time for summer. We see a lot of that happening in the winter months. And take a look here. A mudslide stops a commuter train in its tracks, forcing more than 200 passengers on board to have to get out of this train. This is in Sunol, in the Bay Area, right near Fremont. Recent winter storms may be over, but the mudslides do have state officials on high alert. Our ground is unstable right now. Ever since New Year's, California has experienced more than 500 landslides spanning the entire state from the mountains to the coast. Mudslides overwhelmed a neighborhood in Berkeley, and that destroyed 8 homes.
We just are at the mercy of this mud and hoping and praying and keeping our fingers crossed that it doesn't take the rest of my house out.
Yeah, that was in Berkeley. Look at all that mud that went right into that lady's house. Here's a look at Ojai now, cleaning up after mudslides left a mess, washing away the cliffs, the roads you saw wiped out. Cleanup and repairs in some places will take months. And with the ground already saturated, any more rain could bring even more destruction. Coastal erosion and concerns about these landslides impacting the commuter train tracks that connect San Diego to Orange County. Right now, efforts to stabilize train tracks in San Clemente are delayed, put at risk by recent rains, of course. San Diego Union Tribune reporting that train service is now suspended until at least March. So if that was part of your commute, you'll have to make these longer-term adjustments. Orange County's Transit Authority saw the train tracks move back in September, forcing a stop on all passenger services. And now OCTA says crews are going back to the drawing board, trying to create new ways to install stabilizing anchors at the south end of those tracks.
New this morning, crews are still working on all of the cleanup. The fallen trees in San Diego, we've seen quite a few. Tuesday, we saw 2 more downed trees, one in El Cajon and another one in Carmel Valley. But dozens more have come down over the past several days here. The forester for the city of San Diego told us that since Saturday, he has received more than 90 requests from the public about fallen trees. If you're concerned about a tree's stability on private property, you can call a certified arborist. They will look at the tree's structure to conduct a tree risk assessment.
The structure of the tree, what are the branch angle attachments, and we like to see wider angles of attachments rather than V attachments.
You can also protect trees by pruning branches and making sure the roots are strong and healthy. If it feels like you're driving on the surface of the moon this week, you're not the only driver trying to dodge all of those pesky potholes we've been seeing pop up around town. Complaints of flat tires and cracked rims are on the rise. CBS 8's Chris Groh working for you in Claremont Mesa, showing how these heavy rains are just making the roads and the pothole problem worse, Chris.
Yeah, it almost feels like if you're driving around San Diego, especially here in Kearny Mesa, you might be playing that old computer game Minesweeper. Everywhere you go, there's a chance you are going to click or seemingly drive through that wrong stretch, and it can cause damage to your vehicle. In fact, we've heard reports of people not only getting their rims messed up or maybe their wheels unaligned, but popped tires as well, too. In fact, we ran into a woman just yesterday during our report that had to change her tire because she ran over a pothole. Now, as for what the city is doing, of course, you have to repave the roads in order for the kind of root cause of the problem to be fixed. Unfortunately, though, can't repave every road at once. And so what we're seeing happen instead is that after these winter storms, there are crews that go out and put over that layer of slurry to try to patch these potholes. And what we know is that the city of San Diego says that they have 9 trucks and crews working around the clock to patch up the potholes. We're told they often patch 30 or more in a day. And of course, with the rain, that only has made things worse. Now, of course, if you've got potholes in your neighborhood, you can use that Get It Done app to go ahead and report them. And then if you do suffer damage to your vehicle, you could also report that and potentially get some money back for repairs from the city. But let's take a listen to what some of those San Diego drivers had to experience during these recent days.
Tore up the front end of my Jaguar tire, and it's terrible. It's going to tear up everybody's cars. I feel a big bump, and I also felt the fender of my front tire go into the hole. My whole tire side was wobbling.
Unfortunately, she wasn't actually even able to get her tire replaced herself with that spare tire. She called AAA, she got towed, but she was very thankful to find out from our reporter that there was, of course, recourse here. If you're driving again in the city of San Diego, you run through potholes and you do suffer that damage, document it as soon as possible. You have 6 months to file a claim, again, for reimbursement, for repairs, for that damage. We have a link to the website that the city runs. Just go to cbs8.com, click on that main story link. Eric and Netta.
Yeah, it's right on our front page. I think a lot of people are going to be looking for how to get reimbursement.
Yeah, it's a real problem too, because it's not just going over the potholes. When you dodge them, you're going through other lanes and potentially the other way drivers are going.
Right.
So there's potential for crashes because of this too.
I feel like every time I hit one, I just think of my car.
Like, oh, what just happened?
I know.
Oh, the accumulation of these is not going to bode well for it.
Rims have gotten dented. We've had to replace all of our. It's just a really tough thing and expensive problem.
And you heard Chris there mentioning Convoy in particular. That's where we are here for work often. So it can be a tough one to drive along.
Especially in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. Right in the dark. Here's what we got going on outside in the dark. We still have another about half hour or so before we'll see much of the sunlight come through. Temperatures are on the colder side. We've warmed up by 2 degrees in Ramona. That puts us now at 34 degrees, but Julian is still sub-freezing at 31. Palomar Mountain as well at 24, Mount Laguna at 26. Along our coastline, we're mostly in the mid-40s, and you can see how these temperatures compare to 24 hours ago across the county. We are about 5 to 15 degrees colder right now than we were at this time yesterday. We're 14 degrees colder in Oceanside, 8 degrees colder in Carlsbad, 10 in Poway and Ramona, and 13 in Alpine. We do have some dry weather on the way for today, but we're watching for the arrival of this next disturbance that will come toward tomorrow afternoon. So we expect a few showers to move in by Thursday evening. They'll be very, very light, only giving us a few hundredths of an inch, if that. And then following that disturbance, we'll have this ridge of high pressure building that's going to block us out from any remaining wet weather. So we, in turn, will be dry through the weekend, dry through the beginning of next week. It'll be pretty comfortable out there. And you can see how we're already off to that start as we kick off the day. Not much cloud cover. But hey, 5 days straight of rain, that did pretty well for us. 4 inches in Carlsbad came down, 5.57 inches in Escondido, almost 5 inches in Ramona. These are impressive totals, again, in only a 5-day span, with a lot of those scattered showers that came down yesterday. It was sunny for a minute, a quick moving shower would come by, it'd be sunny again, so you saw this kind of push and pull constant through the day yesterday. Tomorrow, that chance of a few PM showers, and then we're back to sunny skies and gradually warming temperatures in the 60s by the weekend. Let's take a look at traffic as we start off the day. Here are your drive times out the door. We're on the 5 southbound from the 54 to the border. You're looking at a 68-mile-per-hour commute, 8 minutes in total. On the 52 westbound from the 125 to the 15, a 66-mile-per-hour commute, and it looks like that will be a 7-minute drive. Back to you two.